Would you like to see this RAF, the victim of the RAF, indicted? Then somebody else will say, the CD. Then I would turn around and say, this person's wife was killed. This person's wife was killed by the AFRC. This person's wife was killed by the CDF. And leave out AFRC and CDF. We say, no. And then would you like to see the AFRC indicted? No. How about the CDF? Yes, they should be indicted. So that's how we get that message, accepted by the people. Then it goes into a whole debate where the community members then discuss.
And Tahiti gain in this manner does not belong to the conqueror. So that was in fact again dismissed by the court. We also moved forward to another very interesting issue. It was whether the inherent jurisdiction of the court can be invoked on a specific issue where the rules of procedure and evidence of the court do not have any provision on that issue. Again, counsel were testing us. They wanted our inherent jurisdiction to be exercised on some issue that they had brought before the court, but in respect of which there was no provision under the rules of evidence. And the court's response was that the court may have recourse to its inherent jurisdiction in respect of proceedings of which it is properly seized.
Into refugee camps there, and many of them were orchestrators and perpetrators of genocide were escaping the Tutsi regime that was coming in and overthrowing the genocidal government at the time. They came into camps in eastern Congo, began to reorganize, rearm, and in some cases engaged in cross-border incursions back into Rwanda. And that created major political instability on the border between Rwanda and Congo that drew in the international community, drew in regional states, and has created instability in that area since then. That conflict has taken over 5.5 million lives in the last 15 years or so. Mass atrocities have taken place that are staggering. Rape is used as a weapon of war. Children are massacred, systematic murder, and the like. What started as a conflict driven by ethnic grievances, issues over land rights.
Why would Israel be displacing something or with somebody who's trying to do the narrative?
Well, there were two separate operations. You had Hezbollah and Al Qaeda. Even though later they had joined forces, there were two separate operations. But the connection with Hezbollah was bringing in diamonds through Semi Oseli. You can read this on the internet. Semi Oseli and Aziz Nassour, these Lebanese, would bring diamonds out, and they would call them mulin, take them out of Sierra Leone where they had an operation, take them up to Antwerp, and then they later moved their operations over. So two separate operations. They would fund them. Al Qaeda had their operation, and Hezbollah had their own separate operation.
But they still ended up in Antwerp.
In some cases.
It was a very complicated business. The majority of the diamond dealers in West Africa and the Congo are Lebanese. Lebanese diaspora. They're people who moved there in the 1890s and, second, third generation, but they all mostly have connections back home. And Hezbollah and a lot of the other factions in the Lebanese Civil War did fundraising with those people. I mean, they would send fundraisers out to West Africa to raise money. So in some cases it wasn't the diamonds, it was the cash. And of course Israel was concerned about that, but they didn't have any control over that diaspora, that community. They tried to get... Well, not before it got to Antwerp, because everything went to and still goes to Antwerp. But a lot of them were in Antwerp. A lot of the buyers in Antwerp are Indians, Chinese, Americans, you name it. Antwerp is a melting pot for the diamond industry.
The two organizations work. They have this it's like a couple who have been married for 25 years, and one day they have a fight about who takes out the garbage. Does it prove that the marriage was a disaster, or does it? It's normal that there will be little tension.
I do think, and to go back to it, particularly the role of David Crane, which is so important, that if people want to have a fight, they'll do it. And so it's very important to demonstrate that not only you don't have to have a quarrel, but to convince people of the utility of having the two mechanisms operating side by side. They don't really, in practice, very little interaction because they're doing different things.
And I do think that's really, people get fixated on the South African model. But when you say TRC, most people sort of auto-reflexively think about South Africa. And that's fine. And yet there's such other literature, so many broader practices, there's so many variations and shades, and there's no monolithic way to do it. The South African model was perfect for South Africa. And we can debate, and people do, whether it worked or didn't, or what purposes it served or didn't serve, et cetera. When we set up the technical